The first glimpse of the sun can finally be seen over the horizon, and your eyes start to flutter shut. Having been up all night, it's hard to stay awake, even with the beauty all around you. You look to your right and see him, and his long, glorious hair reclining casually in the early morning light. He turns to look at you, smiles, and before you can stop yourself, the words, "I love you," rush past your lips. His hand reaches out to take yours, and then he slowly starts turning away, hair swinging a bit with his movement. From the depths of his curls, the deep, throaty snarl of a familiar beast can be heard. Before you can react, the hyena's open jaws snap shut around you, and as the blood gushes forth from your veins, darkness envelops you.
Your party's guides points out a set of large, unusual shaped footprints in the mud and indicates for you to follow them. According to the locals, a monster has been tormenting the village, snatching children who wandered too far. You nod to the guide, moving stealthily past him, the weaker members of your party following in line behind you. Farther along the trail, you notice some movement through the foliage and motion for your party to halt. Emerging from the vines and branches, a massive hulking figure lumbers forth, and a foul stench approaches with it. While the creature is still pretty far away, you notice a smaller figure hidden in the shadows. It raises a thin, withered hand to point at you, and the creature focuses attention, moving, forward with an even greater purpose.
Welcome back to another episode of Dungeon Diving with Grace, who is finally back. I am Grace. Hi.
I'm very glad that you're no longer dying.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's a good time. This month we're celebrating, or this week, this episode, we're celebrating Black History Month.
We're celebrating the whole month.
Yeah, we're celebrating the whole month.
Yeah, we better be celebrating the whole month.
Actually, no, it's just today. Sorry.
Well, this is the episode I take the reins. Hi, everybody. It's Brooks, your favorite meme poster outside of Erica and Grace.
I don't post.
The only three people that post on the page, actually. But anyways, hi. That's right. You heard it here first, folks. It is Black History Month. The longest month of the year, some might say.
So basically the plan for this episode is that we're going to talk about some creatures from African folklore. And because very few of those exist in the Monster Manual, and because Grace and I know very little about this, Brooks is just going to be telling us some stuff, and then we're going to chime in.
And we're going to try and help you guys figure out how to use this in your own campaign as well.
Respectfully.
Yeah, respectfully. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, and what's great is that not just because I'm Black, but because mythology is something that I kind of study on the side. So they didn't just ask their one Black intern to do an episode for them for February.
I love that you call I love that you call yourself an intern when, like, at this point you're just fully part of the cast. Like,
no, I'm just an intern.
Like, you say that
until my name is on that banner, Dungeon Diving with Grace and Erica.
Oh, you made the banner.
Yeah,
you can fix it.
Yeah, but I don't want to.
Make a new banner.
Do you just want to be known as Intern Brooks?
I'm great as Intern Brooks. I'm totally fine with Intern Brooks.
All right.
He's Intern Brooks.
I'm not ready to make a full commitment yet, you know what I'm saying? I'm a free agent.
I feel like our friendship is going to suffer for that decision, but it's fine.
Let's suffer. But hey, you know who's really suffering? These monsters Yes, we are. You're not wrong. But these people that don't know about these people that don't know about the monsters that we're about to talk about.
You're right.
So my game plan for today, and you guys you folks listening can now be in part of the huddle. I'm going to shoot you guys some monsters and a little bit about their history. This is the first time some of you are hearing about these monsters, especially you, Grace. You asked explicitly to not know about any of the monsters.
Yeah, I don't know
beforehand.
Shit about going into this. So I'm also a listener.
Exactly. You're going to this raw, except you're an interactive listener.
Yeah.
The best kind of listener. Hey, you guys could be interactive too. Just participate in a lot of the comment section on our page. Share our page. And also tell people about our page.
Oh, yes. Please tell people.
Oh, yeah.
We want to make this a full-time thing. Maybe. Eventually.
I mean, ideally.
We could do a lot more fun stuff if y'all told folks.
Heck yeah, we can. I think our next goal is to do like a live stream. Maybe.
At some point. I mean, I think we should hit 10 episodes first.
You know, I guess. But if the people want it, they shall receive.
Yeah.
Get in the comments. But with that, I'm going to start off with, there's a couple monsters, some monsters that aren't in the D&D monster manual, and some are. We're going to start with the ones that are. Grace, Erica, how familiar are you with were hyenas?
Not familiar.
More familiar than you might expect for me.
I want to touch on that
okay,
later.
That sounded weird. I played a were-hyena, but I don't. Yeah, I don't think it's quite like the ones that you're going to tell us about.
You're not. Well, unless you were playing a blacksmith character, it's not. So were-hyenas in African folklore are basically blacksmiths who, depending on the interpretation, were either cursed or have the ability to transform into these hyena creatures.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So how I've seen it interact with a lot of the playthrough, they play as more of like a either like mob characters or PCs who use them as a replacement for lycanthropy.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
So you can utilize them pretty well. In fact, in the D&D monster manual, were hyenas.
Are were-hyenas in the monster manual, or?
I was looking it up. I can only find large hyenas and hyenas.
I mean, like, they have lycanthropes, and I guess you can flavor that whichever way you want, but I feel like a were-hyena might have different stats than a werewolf or a werebear.
Probably a little more dexterous.
Yeah.
And a little more,
well, fun fact.
Wisdomy.
Technically, hyenas are closer to cats than they are to dogs.
That makes sense.
Yep.
They scream.
They do.
That was frightening. So, only way I can look up them is in the Forgotten Realms wiki. Not trademark. They're about 5
not
to
a sponsor either, please.
Not sponsor either. They're about 6 feet tall. Their challenge rating is a solid.
Probably a 2, right?
Yeah.
Usually a 2.
Something like that.
Yeah, just use a challenge rating of 2. So you guess
now it's 2.
No, it's 2. You guessed it right. But yeah, let's start with you, Grace. How would you flavor were-hyena in your setting if you were a PC or a DM?
Well, I am a DM, first of all.
Oh, you are.
As a DM, how would you flavor that into your world?
Well, you said they were traditionally blacksmiths? Or
yes.
They were like cursed or...
Yes, depending on the interpretation, they're either... the main consistency about them is that they're blacksmiths of the village.
Oh. Huh. Well, I'm one for... I love a good coming into a village and finding that there's a small problem story, right?
Classic.
That's like my trope. I like that a lot.
It works.
So probably like have a bunch of characters come into like a town. They're like, oh... The blacksmith is a little weird. We can hear something.
Just so happens to be eating people.
Yeah, right. Or like something screaming in the middle of the night, and people are trying to figure out what it is, and they find out it's a blacksmith, and he means no harm, but he's just like, I'm
a were-hyena.
Shit's happened to me, and a lot of people. This is happening to a lot of other people too, and maybe if you could find the source of it, maybe cure me, or if they like haven't been cursed and it's like basically a blessing that's been put onto them, and they're like probably like, I have this gift, let me help you, and then you get a blacksmith like to help you build stuff, and that would be pretty freaking cool too.
One thing I forgot to mention about the whole blacksmith line is that because it's in Somali culture, where hyenas kind of originate with a blacksmith background. is this if the blacksmith trait is hereditary. So if it's like your father was a blacksmith, they were a blacksmith. The whole thing is that blacksmith is actually a wizard or a sorceress.
Oh, cool.
Oh, like they're using magic to create this. It's not just like...
That's, well, their magic turns them into a were-hyena.
Okay.
How cool would it be to
That's
have like a
super cool.
whole civilization that's just built around these were-hyenas that are just like, kind of like, you know how like the dwarven like stereotype where they're like, ooh, expert forgers, but you have like a group of were-hyenas that are just advanced forgers.
Well,
and they're like, you have to go and you like climb into like this ancient city or something, and then you find that there's just a bunch of were-hyenas, and you're like,
well, I really like
this hidden race.
your idea of that though too, because with dwarves usually they have like clans, and there will be like competition between clans over who's like the better forgers. It would be super cool if you had maybe like a were-hyena blacksmith guild, or like a family or something that's, you know, known for that, and then there's like a group of dwarves nearby who are like in competition with the were-hyenas.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun, because, I mean, again, the whole blacksmith trade for the were-hyena is hereditary. And I do like that idea that in a campaign or like a play setting, as far as a setting-wise, you can have it to where like your players like coming between like a whole competition or this like blood feud between dwarves and hyenas, were-hyenas.
I think it would be super. I love situations where you force your players to take a side. You know, whether or not. I like making them make the tough decisions. I think it's fun. And you know, it's in a situation like that, it doesn't seem like there would necessarily be a right or wrong side. And so I think it would just be cool to like see what happens. You know,
Or split your party up.
or that.
Yeah, right. That'll be fun for a DM.
Oh, that sounds devilish, and I saw that evil glint in your eye when you just said that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Always split the party, right?
Always.
Always.
Well, transitioning over to, before we transition from were-hyenas, I gotta ask, Erica, pros and cons of being a were-hyena.
Well,
Fleas.
oh yeah, that would definitely be a con. Fleas would be a con. I would say major pro. From what I understand, hyena societies are matriarchal. If you actually study hyenas, usually the females are like in charge, and so I think that would be cool to see in a society of were-hyenas. So that could be a pro, in my opinion, as a wolf. Oh, have you seen that one? It's like, am I a wolf?
No.
No. Okay. Well, someone out there is gonna know what I'm talking about. It's fine.
Anyway.
As a woman, I think it would be cool to have more matriarchal societies.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Greg's pros and cons of being a were-hyena.
Fleas.
No, what?
Ticks.
Ooh, scavengers. Being a scavenger might be inconvenient. Hyenas tend to be scavengers. I don't think that were-hyenas would have to be necessarily,
I think it'd be kind of funny if, like, you know, a were-hyena who transforms and they're like, I just want to sift through the garbage. And they, like, you know, that could be a con.
Like, did you just describe an American raccoon for a were-hyena?
You just wake up the morning after a full moon and you're like, oh, I feel so terrible.
I failed my constitution check.
5-day-old rotisserie chicken.
Oh, God.
My tummy hurts.
I think a lot of the benefits of lycanthropy are definitely a pro. So, like, you know, the benefits of being half hyena, where you get like extra fast, you have night vision, you
stronger.
Yeah, you're stronger. You can smell better. You can scream louder. I don't know.
You know, I bet.
Oh, con, your laugh is gonna be
fucking terrifying.
Bad.
Oh, that could be a flaw. Like, for some reason, the blacksmith guild is like extra giggly for some reason. Everybody is just so giggly.
Well, like, especially if you have a were-hyena who, like, laughs at the wrong moments. So they're at, like, a funeral, and they're, like, awkwardly laughing, but they're a were-hyena, and they go,
We are gathered here today to lay rest.
And then they fucking just start
Just ball out.
laughing.
Well,
That would be fantastic.
I loved hearing your guys' pros and cons. I definitely want to give it to Grace over here. The pros. I really liked what you were hearing. Not to dismiss all
This is because Brooks is sexist.
What? Hello?
I'm very confused by that statement myself.
Hello?
He wasn't down with the matriarchy.
Oh.
Oh, right.
Oh, I was confused because I too am a wolf.
What?
Yeah, me too.
You hate to see it. But speaking of hyenas, I really like hyenas, and some of African folklore does too. Tell me, have you guys heard of a kishi?
No.
I have today because you told me about it earlier.
I haven't because I told you not to tell me anything.
I know. One of these people likes surprises.
I
Can you guess
had
who?
to write the thing.
I, the interactive listener.
Yes, this
I'm
is just for the
ready.
interactive listener. I'm putting my face in front of Erica right now because she can't be a part of this.
That's rude. Erica, I welcome you to the space.
It's Black History Month, Grace. You don't get to do that.
As a person of color,
All
I
right.
would like to ask you if you could allow Erica into this sacred space.
Erica, your friend Grace did vouch for you, so you're allowed back into space.
Boom.
Thank you.
So Akishi. Now, Akishi, I'm gonna describe a scene for you. You're at a party and you're really vibing with this dude. He has a lot of hair on him, but you vibe with that. You really like men with a lot of hair.
Yeah, I do.
touch with their
Yeah.
floofy side.
Ooh, yes.
Wait,
are they a furry?
Am I a furry?
No,
In this
there's
scenario.
well. Let me finish. You might give me surprise.
Uh-oh.
They're just laying it on thick right now. Like they're ready to just like take you home and just like be with you.
I have a boyfriend.
Okay.
They're charming. They're so charming that you're like, I think your man might give you a pass on this one.
Colin would understand.
No, I don't think so.
So-
Anyway, continue.
In this hypothetical where
In this hypothetical where you're a furry.
Yeah.
Wait, that's real life.
How dare you?
And
I'm hurt.
the man
you're not in a relationship.
this man with this humongous afro takes you home and you're having a good time. He's charming you. He's telling you how much he likes your apartment and the shabby decorations. Like he's laying it all on there.
Shabby decoration.
He gives you
Get
a
out
kiss.
of my house.
Before that, he gives you a kiss, and as you're about to kiss him, he turns his head like you're about to miss his cheeks.
Like, oh, okay.
Except he turns his head all the way around.
Oh,
like an owl?
Yeah.
Oh no!
Well, I was thinking like The Exorcist, but yeah.
Oh,
One of these things is not like the other.
We're on two different levels here.
And past all the thicket of hair is the face of a whole hyena.
Okay. To which I say, "Who's a good boy?"
And he eats you.
Oh, well, I would not say that. I'd probably say something like, "Ah!"
If you boop it on the nose before it gets a chance, though, it'll stop and feel bad.
Oh.
I'd love to see the horror story of like if you just give a hyena a boop on the nose. If somebody knows out there how the best way to stop a hyena, you've also learned the best way to stop a kishi, which is basically what a kishi is. It's a very charming young man who had the back of his head has a face of a hyena. The charm rate, the charisma check for this cat is high.
It's like if Quirrell from Harry Potter were a hot tamale, and then Voldemort was a hyena.
Yeah, basically.
Interesting reference.
Thanks.
I don't understand any of it. But
there was Voldemort's face was on the back of Professor Quirrell's head.
oh yes, I understand the reference. Wow. Well, yeah, I don't think I really know what to do with that situation. Can I ask him to stop?
Well, you're talking to the hyena now, so if you've ever told the hyena to stop and they've listened, then yeah, you could probably do that.
Maybe it's a well-trained hyena.
Yeah. Or wait, hold on. But that doesn't make any sense because if you can talk to the guy and he's laying on thick, quotes from you, laying it on thick, and I can't reason with him, then what's the point?
Well, you can reason with the dude, you just can't reason with the hyena.
So is it like a two-brain kind of thing where
Yeah.
like one takes over? Oh, that's kind of dumb.
I was gonna say it kind of reminds me of like an anglerfish where they have like the glowing bulb that lures in the fish and then it just eats you.
Except it's his face.
Well, yeah, it's like
You can reason
it's
with
just
an
it's just a
anglerfish.
facade. He's just acting this way.
I'm sure you can reason with an anglerfish.
If anyone has an anglerfish that we can see a video of you reasoning with it, I'd love to see it.
Yes.
Grace, please attempt this and let me know how it goes.
Okay, I will.
If in 10 years' time, Grace, you tame an anglerfish, I will gladly eat my own words.
But what satisfaction do I get from that?
You get to kick me square in the balls.
Okay, I'm down.
All right,
I need to procure an anglerfish.
do we have another monster for you to tell us about?
I do. Now, the Kishi isn't for everybody. It's a hard sell. It's a hard sell for me.
Not for me.
Sounds dangerous.
But let me ask you this. How do you feel about bells?
Silver bells?
I like bells.
You like bells?
Bells and whistles?
How would you like a bell accompanied by a voice that's so soothing, so attached to each part of your heartstrings that you're compelled to listen to whatever's being said from it?
Sounds like Colin, yeah.
Like in the moment, I'd probably be like, oh, that's nice.
Well, I would like to introduce you folks to the Oloko, which is a tree covered moss, almost like
It's like a child, right?
Yeah, it's like a child that eats human flesh.
Oh. First off, I'd just like to say that, like, 3 of 3 African folklore things, or 2 of the 2 that are, like, humanoids, are all charming things. So I gotta say, if you throw these into a D&D campaign, your bards are just fucked.
Your bards are absolutely gonna try and sleep with... Well, hopefully they don't sleep with the tree child. That would be a problem.
Oh, yeah. But if it's still charming...
But the Kishi...
Yeah. Well, the bards won't sleep with the child, but they'll probably be like, hey, kid... selling Girl Scout cookies?
They would like the kid.
Yeah.
You know? They'd be like, yeah, kid.
They'd be like, I have to protect the kid with my life. And then they'll be like halfway into the kid's stomach and they'll be like, wait a minute.
No, that's essentially it. The one thing about the Oloko is it's Bell. So you want to talk about an amazing drop item.
Good point.
Like you murder the tree child. And then...
I mean, you want to call it a tree child or you want to call it a Oloko? Whichever you can sleep better at night knowing. Which would be better for the songs of the heroes? The heroes who murdered a tree child, or the heroes who murdered the Oloko? Like, which one would be better?
Okay, I'm not disagreeing with you, but like if something's trying to kill me, I'm gonna sleep just fine, no matter what we're calling it.
I'd have a hard time sleeping if like my legend is I killed the tree child.
That's fair.
But that's just me. What are your thoughts, Grace?
Druid boy ain't happy with us right now.
No. Our Druid boy.
Our Druid boy would absolutely get murdered by an Oloko.
Oh, yeah.
He would be so screwed in that situation.
Yeah.
He would fall for 100%.
That his little
his
boy
myconids would fall for it too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, they'd be like, "Hey, like a friend," and then the Oloko would have mushrooms too, with chunks of human.
Mm-hmm. And including human badges. Because all his Boy Scout badges.
No.
He flossed it with his ribbon. He just flossed his teeth.
Ew.
Yeah,
that's tragic.
I don't like that.
Yeah. So, how would you like to use an Oloko in your setting?
You ever have you ever played Ori and the Blind Forest?
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's like this really fun game. It's like a puzzle platformer, and it's like this, you know, the vibe that it gives, where it's like the Feywild vibe, you know, where it's like everything's like nighttime, but like there's like glowing orbs everywhere, and it's all blue and mystical and magical. I imagine it's something like that, where your players are walking through the jungle for whatever reason, and then like one of them fails, I don't know, a wisdom save or like a charisma save, and they hear like the voice of a child go, come find me, right? And they're like, oh wow, there's a kid that's lost, I have to go find the kid. And then they like run off from the party, and then there's like a really pretty opening, like clearing, you know, that looks like it's from like a fairy tale, like magic, you know,
like all good vibes.
Yeah, all good vibes. Like the tree from Avatar, the blue people one, you know, like the blue tree where everyone was like, ooh.
You mean where they have sex?
Yes, where they have sex.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you know how it was like mystical and magical?
Yeah.
I imagine it like looks like that, and then there's like a face in it, and then a kid comes out and just eats the person. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I would use it.
Another thing I forgot to mention about them is that they're essentially spirits attached to the earth because of some grudge, and they keep eating until something inside of them is fulfilled.
Oh, so meat.
So they're like spirits of some sort that like have some unfinished business.
Yeah, that manifested themselves.
Oh.
Okay. So like you don't necessarily have to kill the Oloko. You could like solve its problem. Maybe guide it to the right person to murder.
You could. Somebody who murdered it. So say you're a little fun setting that feel free to use. Your guide who's been super uppity and just not a cool guy to hang out with has an interesting backstory. The guide murdered his brother. And so he's guiding you through this forest, and here comes an Oloko who remembers the douche that killed him.
Ooh.
So your party could be like, we could save this guide, or we could just let him kill him.
So wait, is the Oloko like a stagnant tree child? Or
Oh no,
he
moves. He moves around.
Is it like a thing that looks like a kid?
I'm imagining like Baby Groot.
It'll look like a kid if you're charmed by it, but like because it can make an illusion on itself.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it can be charmed by it and
minor illusion
on itself. Yeah. Because it's still
probably disguised self.
Yeah, it's still a physical creature, even though like its origin is a spirit. It's still a physical creature. So I wouldn't put it as like a specter in a sense.
Yeah, it's not like a ghost. It's like a.
It's
So it's
manifested
in like a
physical
D&D
thing.
setting. It could have spells then.
Yeah,
It would have spells. It would probably be like a challenge rating, like 6 or 7.
It definitely had. I mean, I would think it would definitely have an ability where it can charm people. I mean, you mentioned the bell. I'm imagining
it's told the bell is like integral to an Oloko. Like that's like its main calling card because that's what you hear is the bell. Because its main origin is based off of African tribes who live in like thick like forests.
Oh.
So like they're in like the darker parts. So like you're in this your party's roaming around this dark forest. You hear a bell, you're thinking, oh well, we might be close to civilization, or some other person might be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can really play with the horror aspect of it.
It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, if you have someone in your party who's got like a backstory where they're running from something, the Oloko could probably be one of the things that they're running from. Not like specifically, but like they're like, oh, I like murdered someone and I'm running from the cops, right? But the spirit is like vengeful and it turns into an Oloko and it starts hunting them in the middle of this forest. Ooh.
I really like the idea of like maybe you're in a town or something and there's an Oloko that's going like through the town murdering people that are like connected to its death or whatever. And people are like, why are all these people dying? And you're like, it's because they're connected to this one. And so like your party has to figure out the mystery of the murder.
That would be fun.
And then they can like lead the Oloko to the person that actually killed them. And then the Oloko kills them and then like its spirit can be at rest.
So
very cool.
Let's hit it. Grace, pros and cons of an Oloko.
I don't really know what it looks like.
Oh, I'll show it to you right now. But in the meantime,
pros, you can use it in a lot of situations because every character has a bad backstory.
True.
And there's always people getting murdered. Oh, okay. So it looks really different than what I thought.
Well, there's different interpretations of it. So you have like a really...
So an Oloko, it looks kind of like... it's a humanoid that's got like plants for quote-unquote armor. Kind of coming out of its forearms. It's got some around its hips. Some of them just look like grass monsters, essentially. Kind of like the grass monkey from Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
Pancham, I think is the name. Kind of like that, but like a lot more ferocious looking. Now, you could probably pass it off as like a... So, I mean, they look like intelligent beings, right?
Yes, they can talk, they're sentient.
Oh, okay.
They are intelligent beings.
Okay, so they are intelligent beings.
Exactly.
So I think it'd be really cool, like a pro is their intelligence, because you could probably have one, especially if your players have never run into an Oloko before, you could have it be like, oh, I'm just a hermit, like in the forest, I can show you around, and then it'll slowly start learning their habits.
Oh, it's not just like a vicious murderer thing. It's
it's like intelligent. So it can learn your party's habits, like what time they go to sleep, who goes first watch, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then from there, it can learn like what your players do, how to, you know, fight your players, and then eventually it can take that information and learn how to kill your players in their sleep, which is a good pro. I guess that's also a con, though, because if your players have never run into it and you've never used it, especially because it's not in like the monster manual, it's kind of hard to figure out ways to use it that are not just ripping off other monsters, if that makes sense.
Well, you could basically like you could kind of reskin it. Like, so I imagine you could reskin like a druid type mage enemy, but like have put out their stats in charisma, so like their casting is mostly like charm spells.
Yeah.
So like you can set it up like that.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of fae creatures. Like they're very much they're very charismatic. Like they're prone to enticing people into bad situations. So I wouldn't be surprised, like, you could have this creature in the Feywild, or you could have a situation where maybe, like, things from the Feywild are starting to cross over into the world, or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And so this thing appears, and it's like, you know, I'm new here. I'm new in town.
Speaking of new in town,
kill some things.
Erica, pros and cons.
Pros and cons. I think number one con is it's definitely gonna get messed up by like fire damage. Like, it's made out of plants. It's gonna get wrecked if you burn it at all. But I think a pro is that generally when you see like plant creatures, people like players especially are gonna assume that it's like friendly or some kind of like.
There is a weird stigma with that, isn't there? Where everyone thinks that plant things are nice.
Yeah, they're like a cheerful forest spirit or whatever. Especially if you like, if it smiles and waves, you know, you could play that up.
Ooh.
And so I think that's like a huge benefit because you can definitely get your players to trust it super easily. Because that's just the kind of thing, like if you have like a small child, people are like, oh, that's terrifying. But if it kind of looks like an old man forest thing, people are like, oh yeah,
I trust it. Nobody trusts the kids.
Have you seen the number of children in horror movies?
No, you're
it's
right.
terrifying.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think I'm going to give that one to Erica. I did like the fact.
Erica was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. All right. So let's bring it home real quick. I did want to talk about Azizas, which are essentially African Fae. So the thing about them is that they're essentially more, while Faes have like traditional pixie wings, the Azizis wings are like butterflies, and they still retain
pretty.
Their whole thing is that because I'm not too familiar with the Fae origin, but the Azizi are kind of like the caretakers of the forest. So like of all the lands there, they were the original stewards.
Oh,
I love that. That's so cool.
Nothing really about them being like tricksters or anything that I could find. Because that was one of the ones I remember learning about in my African art class. We were like studying when we were studying the mythology, and nothing about them being tricksters that I could remember.
Dude. But if you get like a field of Alokos and Azizas, right? If you get them together and your players run over like a native burial ground that's been desecrated, and like the Alokos and the Azizas are there to protect it now, and like they're like, get off my land, and your players are like, no, and then they like, you know,
teach the players a lesson about not disturbing sacred areas.
Yes.
And one thing about them, you should know this one. Another stat boost you can have. They are the kind of like the patrons of like hunting and good magic of the forest, which are also accredited for teaching men how to use fire. So you can figure that as like their resistance to fire, but also proficient in fire magic in your little tussle.
Very cool.
Oh, I could see a really cool situation where just like, because they're sort of the traditional guardians of a certain area, if you have magic associated with that and they get upset with you, that magic becomes weaker. So if you have like a druid or a ranger in your team, they're like, no, the forest is not listening to me. It's not working. That like, something's mad at us. Or like a mage who uses fire magic, you know, because these guys are associated with fire. They're like, I can't cast fireball. I don't know what's happening.
You don't have permission in their domain to use that type of magic.
Oh, that is cool. Good. I'm giving you a high five for that one.
Yeah, because I could say in a setting like this, oh, that was really cool. That druids and rangers get a serious like stat debuff. Like all of a sudden your ranger isn't as good as he used to be at like tracking or his survival checks. For some reason, your druid, his animal's words are becoming slurred. They can't really speak to him anymore. Or the creatures in the forest refuse to speak to him.
Harry moo. We need to go moo.
Yeah, I'm just imagining like the nature and the terrain around them isn't cooperating with them the way it usually is, and because they've, you know, angered these things or whatever. I think that would be rad.
Or there are strangers in this land who did not get permission to use the magic in their land. I love that. I'm not even going to do like a pro and con. That you guys both like nailed it on the head with that.
That was all Erica.
No, it was a team effort.
No, it was all Erica.
We have collective ideas.
Let's give the credit to who it's
I'll give it to Erica.
due. Yeah,
I'll take it.
to Erica.
Okay, now you ready to bring it home?
Okay, bring it home.
All right. This creature is without a doubt the most frightening thing I recall. I remember having a distinct, like, nightmarish daydream when this was described to me in my class. The Grutzlang. I know that sounded German because when I was reading it, again, I don't know why the German came out.
It's fine.
But Grutzlang is a serpent elephant. So you have the size of an elephant.
Grace's face is the best thing.
The body of a serpent and the head of an elephant.
So the size of an elephant and the head of an elephant, but the body of a
It's a snake.
That just sounds silly.
Well,
no, some of the art, if you look it up, is actually like
so here is
wild.
what it looks like. It is a
Oh, I see. Okay, so the bottom half of the elephant mouth on the head is open like a snake's mouth, and its tusks are still like not on the floor, but like the tusks are still really, really long. And it's got like a snake tongue. It looks pretty wicked. It still looks silly. Its tusk is on the bottom half, because that was the silliest part to me. The fact that its tusk, I thought, okay, so what I was imagining was like a snake, right? And then like the head of an elephant, obviously, because that's what it is. But then like the snake kind of continues where the trunk is. You know what I mean?
Oh, like a snake.
So it just looks like
You were imagining like a snake coming out of the trunk?
No, I just, if I had a pen here, I have this.
Well, while you're drawing that, other interpretations of it describe it as a body of an elephant with the tail of a serpent.
So here's like the tail of a snake, right? And then you have your elephant here, right here.
I think we're gonna need to upload this image
for our
listeners.
We are definitely uploading this image.
I thought that it was like this, and its tusks were like that. I thought that's what it looked like, and I was like, that just looks silly.
Looks like a seahorse.
Yeah.
1 second.
It just looks like a seahorse.
Yeah.
It looks like that one Pokemon, the Love Disc, except flattened out.
Oh, yeah.
Aww.
Well, yes. I think if the actual image were to be uploaded.
Okay.
I wish I could add images to my thing, but I can't.
I encourage everyone to look up images of the Grutzlang, Grootslang. Tell us how terrifying you think it is on a scale from 1 to 10.
1 to 10 tusks.
No, one tusk or 10 tusks. There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, it looks terrifying. Tell us more.
Okay, so this creature normally lives underneath in caves or underground. So you have this burrowing creature, this large burrowing creature slithering his way around, all in tunnels. Even another way, and I think that this is also a terrifying use because if you're playing in an African setting, you also have the sub-Saharan desert to work with as well. So you could, in the style of the movie Tremors, have this thing launch up and down through the dunes.
Can you imagine like stepping into the wrong place and falling into one of the holes that it made?
Frightening. It would be legitimately frightening. And
don't like that.
Oh, but what would be cool is if like you had like, I don't want to say tribe. I'll say tribe. If you had like a tribe that learned how to live with the Grootslang, right? Or like worship the Grootslang and lived in its tunnels in like the sand. So they're like sand people, right? And they like lived in the tunnels and learned to like live with the Grootslang. The Grootslang protected their home, but then one day it kind of like disappeared and they were like, we need help.
One thing about the Grootslang is that it's always protecting a large what's the word for it? Large cache of gold.
Hoard,
there we go.
So you're telling me Grootslangs and dragons would be best friends?
Or they would hate each other because they would fight over
a Grootslang dragon.
Yeah, give it wings.
Yeah, like a serpent thing.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
I do like the idea of a Grootslang that has like it's not just the head and then the serpent body. I like the idea of it having like two front legs that are kind of like clawed.
You mean like a centipede Grootslang?
No, more like a salamander. More like a salamander. Or like a lizard.
Still
the
gross.
Front legs.
Sorry, no.
I think it's scarier because of that.
Yeah, no, it's just gross.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be cute.
What if it wants to be?
Yeah, there's plenty of things that are monsters and cute. Like you.
Aw, look at that buddy ship on dungeon diving.
Anyway.
Well, so that's the thing about the Grootslang. It's an unholy chimera of just two fierce things, an anaconda and an elephant. Two things I really wouldn't want combined, honestly.
True.
I think D&D needs more of like monsters fighting each other.
Yeah, instead of like your party stumbles across a monster and it tries to attack you, and it's like, no, there's a Tarrasque and an ancient red dragon and they are going at it.
Yeah.
Your party stumbles upon a Grootslang fighting it out with a bunch of were hyenas.
Oh, that would be cool.
I would like that actually.
Yeah.
That would be rad.
That would be sick.
And you have to decide, are you going to help the were hyenas or the Grootslang? This terrifying creature you don't know if it's bad or good, or these were hyenas who you don't know if they're bad or good.
Just kill them all.
Or you wait and see which way the battle's going and then you join in.
True. Big brain.
Whoever gives the anime friendship speech is the one I'm helping.
Then they like ask very nicely for you to join their side and they're like, we're gonna be BFFs forever.
No.
What's the anime friendship speech?
The anime friendship speech is when one of them starts to lose and then they go, but like my friends, my loved ones,
I feel bad for you because you don't have friends. I have to do it for them.
I have to do it for them. And then they power up with the power of friendship and then they beat the thing and then everyone's like, whoa, what?
Yeah, that's who I'm defending in that fight.
You wait until that moment and then
I'm gonna hop on with this guy.
Alright, I gotta give a really thrilling speech. Is that bardic inspiration? Gosh dang.
I feel inspired.
That's valid.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right.
So, pros and cons, one last round to end the tiebreaker.
Cons. It looks silly. In my imagination. Yeah. Oh, if you want to see the image, go to our Facebook page. I think Brooks took a picture of it.
I haven't posted it yet, but
yeah, but
it'll be up.
It'll be up by the time that we upload this. And I think another con is that if it's like not in its habitat, it'll be kind of like you can't use it anywhere. You know what I mean? I mean, you can't.
I know what you're talking about.
You can't really have it in the jungle, you know, because then all the trees are just gonna like.
I think it could just crash through the trees.
But also, it's a serpent, so it could like coil around it.
Well, what's the point of having it in the jungle? Like the jungle is where the small things live. You know what I mean? Not small. It's just you don't find like giants in the jungle
But
because
magic.
Grace just wants the Grutzlong to fight another big monster to live out her kaiju dreams.
Yes. My monster hunter dreams. I guess a monster hunter, there's dragons in the jungle. Okay, scratch that con. I just think they look silly in my mind.
That's your major con.
That's my major con. And then pros, I really think it's cool that they can kind of burst out of the ground and surprise your players.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine getting swallowed by one in a campaign and then you have to fight the contents in its stomach?
Mm-hmm.
I'd cry.
Wild.
That would be terrible.
Well,
that's it. That's all I have.
Well, swing bada. Your turn, Erica.
So I think major con, well, I could see this also being a pro, is that it gives me a similar context vibe to dragons in that, like, it's got its horde, that sort of thing. So it could easily replace or be replaced by dragons, that sort of thing. And so it's like not that's just a statement. That's not really a pro or a con.
Is there any folklore that's like behind like how are they created or like?
Not a lot that I located, because this was actually one of the first ones that I was taught in the class, and one of the first ones I nearly forgot about. Mm-hmm. The whole thing about the one thing about their creation was that they were created by the gods, but this is kind of like the lore of why like snakes and elephant exist. They were like the first being, like they were a snake and an elephant, but like the gods realized, oh wow, this is a mistake. This is bad. These are two powerful creatures combined with each other. Let's separate them. So that's how their creation came about.
Like they would be too powerful if they were combined.
Yeah,
like snakes or spiders and a cockroach. It'd be way too strong.
I don't like that. I don't like that idea.
Sorry to cut you off. I was just wondering if there's any folklore.
No, I think that's a valid question.
Because I think it would be cool if, like, a god, like if in our campaign, Terramea, like came down from the sky and was like,
oh no, my character is Terramea.
Okay, well,
Terramea is
like comes down to the sky and is like, look, I fucked up and made something really bad.
You need to get rid of it.
You need to kill it.
Like, not now, but right now.
Yeah. I can take you there, but
you're gonna have to fight. I will say, I think the major pro for this is that combat with it would be really interesting. Because if you think about it, it's got the tusk and the tail, so it's got two things that can, like, grapple people. Or, excuse me, trunk and tail. Two things that can grapple people. It's got tusks, so it can gore people with those. It's... Yeah.
I'm just imagining it.
If you download the leg DLC, you can stomp people with it.
If it's got legs, it can either stomp or claw people, which is also interesting in combat. It's got ears, so it's good at hearing. I would give it tremor sense as well. So, like, if you're walking around, it would be able to tell.
Its eyes would be bad.
It would have bad eyesight. It would definitely have bad eyesight.
Another thing that you could do, too, is you can make its... Based off of what it eats, you can make its saliva acidic, and because it has a trunk, it can, like, spray water out from its trunk.
Yeah, like spray acid. That's cool.
It adds, like, another flair.
Yeah. It would definitely have, like, a swallow ability as well. So, like, if it grabs you with the tail, like, you're not going to get swallowed. But if it grabs you with the trunk, the next move is it's going to swallow you.
Nice. Well, ladies.
Gentleman,
me, myself. You guys have just gotten your first introduction to African folklore.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. We
applause.
Appreciate you, Brooks, for sharing some of that culture with us.
Mm-hmm. Not a problem. It was it's always fun to revisit stuff from my college days, and one of the few classes that I passed with an A.
So congrats.
There also might have been some mix-ups in lore, and if you found any mix-ups, let us know kindly in the comments.
Yeah.
Don't be mean.
Keyword is kindly.
We also would love to encourage you to explore folklore and monsters from all sorts of different mythologies. You know, Greek and Roman are great, but there's so much more.
I should do one on Asians.
You absolutely should.
Ooh,
Asian monsters? Ooh.
Heck yeah.
Oh,
I'm excited. I'll be excited for that episode.
I'll do it my birthday month. How about that? March.
So
March.
next month.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do our part in study.
Yeah, yeet.
Yeet.
Well, thanks again, y'all, for having me on here.
Dude, intern Brooks, you are more than welcome.
Any episode.
Every episode.
Every episode.
Please.
Just be here.
Yeah.
I'll work hard.
Or queer. Choose one.
Or both.
Or both?
I have been known to choose both.
Oh, good.
Hey, me too.
Hey.
All right.
Oh, that was good.
Okay, on that note, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. If you did. If you didn't, well, you gave us the view anyway. So, thanks. See you in 2 weeks?
Yep.
Yes. See you in 2 weeks. Hopefully I don't get sick again.
Bye.
Bye!